She thought she could dismiss him like he was nothing, but when she found out who he really was, her entire world turned upside down. The grand lobby of the Regal Crown Hotel gleamed under golden chandeliers, the scent of expensive cologne and fresh-cut flowers filling the air. Guests in tailored suits and designer dresses moved effortlessly through the space. At the front desk, Claire Thompson, the hotel's lead receptionist, tapped impatiently on her keyboard. She had worked here for years, and she knew exactly the type of guests she wanted to cater to. Then the doors swung open, and Darius Cole walked in. Tall, confident, dressed in a sleek designer suit, he carried himself like a man who belonged, because he did. But to Claire, he was just another nobody. As he approached the desk, she barely spared him a glance. "Can I help you?" she asked, her tone clipped. Darius placed his credit card on the counter. "Checking in. The name's Darius Cole." Claire frowned, tapping at her keyboard. Her expression shifted as she saw his name on the system, marked as a VIP guest. But instead of welcoming him, her lips pressed into a thin line. "I don't see a reservation under that name." Darius raised an eyebrow. "Check again." Claire sighed dramatically, pretending to search. Then she shook her head. "Nope, no reservation. You must have made a mistake." Darius exhaled slowly, keeping his voice even. "I booked the penthouse suite over a month ago." Claire folded her arms. "Sir, I don't know what to tell you. If you don't have a reservation, I can't check you in." Behind her, another receptionist shifted uncomfortably, avoiding eye contact. Darius caught the hesitation. Something wasn't right. He leaned in slightly, lowering his voice. "Did you cancel my reservation?" Claire gave a tight smile. "Sir, if you'd like to book a standard room, we may have availability." Darius chuckled under his breath. Now he knew exactly what was happening. She didn't think he belonged here. She thought she could erase his name, like he was invisible. But she had no idea who she had just dismissed. Keeping his composure, he pulled out his phone and made a single call. 30 seconds later, the hotel manager came rushing out, his face pale. And what happened next left Claire speechless. The moment James Reynolds, the hotel's general manager, spotted Darius, his face drained of color. He rushed to the front desk, his voice laced with panic. "Mr. Cole, I wasn't expecting you so soon." Claire's smile faltered. "Wait, you know him?" James shot her a deadly glare before turning back to Darius, his hands clasped nervously. "Sir, I sincerely apologize for any inconvenience. There must have been some mistake." Darius crossed his arms, his voice calm but icy. "No mistake. Your receptionist cancelled my reservation." James whipped around to Claire, his expression turning stone cold. "Tell me that isn't true." Claire stammered. I thought there was an issue with the booking." Darius cut her off. "Number U took one look at me and decided I didn't belong." Silence fell over the lobby. Guests nearby paused, sensing the tension. Employees froze, avoiding eye contact. Claire's face turned red. I was just following policy." Darius let out a cold chuckle. "Really? Tell me, does policy only apply to people who look like me?" Claire opened her mouth, then closed it. She had nothing to say. James exhaled sharply, shaking his head. "Mr. Cole, I can assure you, this is not how we run things here." Darius held up a hand. "Stop." James fell silent. Darius reached into his pocket and pulled out a set of documents. He placed them on the counter, tapping the top page. Claire's blood ran cold when she saw what it said. Regal Crown Hotel, new ownership agreement. Darius smirked. "I don't just have a reservation here, I own this place." The color drained from Claire's face. She gripped the edge of the counter, her body trembling. You own the hotel?" Claire's voice came out in a whisper, barely audible over the murmurs spreading through the lobby. Darius smirked. That's right. As of this morning, Regal Crown Hotel is under new ownership. The weight of his words sank in, and Claire's legs felt weak. She had just tried to humiliate the man who now signed her paychecks. James, the manager, swallowed hard. Mr. Cole, Darius raised a hand. Save it. I didn't come here for excuses. I came to see how my hotel is being run. And what I just experienced? He turned back to Claire, his smirk fading into something sharper. Is unacceptable. Claire's lips parted, panic flashing across her face. Mr. Cole, please, Darius didn't let her finish. Effective immediately, you're fired. The entire lobby fell into silence. Claire gasped, her hands trembling. Wait, please, I made a mistake. I didn't know who you were. Darius tilted his head. That's the problem, Claire. You only treat people with respect when you think they're important. Tears welled in her eyes as security approached. Please, I need this job. Darius exhaled. And that elderly couple you ignored earlier, the guests you've dismissed for years, they needed respect. He shook his head. But you never gave it to them. Security gestured for Claire to step away. Defeated, she grabbed her bag and turned toward the exit. Every employee, every guest, watched her in silence. Once she was gone, Darius turned to James. Let's talk about some changes. James nodded quickly. Absolutely, sir. Darius stepped forward, his voice carrying through the lobby. From now on, Regal Crown Hotel will be a place where every guest is treated with dignity, regardless of who they are or what they look like. A wave of approval spread through the employees and guests. Darius looked around, satisfied. This wasn't just about firing one bad employee. This was about setting a new standard, and under his leadership, no one would ever feel unwelcome in his hotel again. 1 month later, the Regal Crown Hotel was completely transformed. Gone were the days of biased service and dismissive employees. Under Darius's leadership, new training programs had been implemented, staff were retrained, and a culture of respect was enforced at every level. As Darius walked through the grand lobby, he noticed something different: warm smiles, genuine hospitality, and guests of all backgrounds being treated like VIPs. James, now more attentive than ever, approached with a tablet in hand. Sir, guest satisfaction ratings have skyrocketed. We're receiving more 5-star reviews than ever before. Darius nodded approvingly. That's what I like to hear. Just then, an elderly couple walked up to the counter. The same couple Claire had ignored weeks ago. A newly hired receptionist greeted them with a kind smile. Welcome back, Mr. and Mrs. Carter. We've upgraded your room to a suite as a token of our appreciation. The elderly woman's eyes widened. Oh my, that's very kind of you. Darius watched with satisfaction as the couple was treated with the respect they always deserved. James turned to him. Quite the difference from before, huh? Darius smirked. Exactly the difference I wanted to make. As he stepped outside, breathing in the fresh evening air, he knew this was more than just a business victory. It was a message that no one should be judged based on assumptions, that respect should never depend on wealth or appearance, and under his ownership, Regal Crown Hotel would always stand for fairness, dignity, and excellence. Because true power wasn't just about owning a business. It was about changing it for the better. 1 year later, the Regal Crown Hotel was no longer just another luxury hotel. It had become the gold standard for hospitality. Under Darius Cole's leadership, the hotel had expanded, opening new locations across the country. Customer service ratings were at an all-time high, profits had soared, and employees were treated with the respect they deserved. Tonight, the flagship hotel was hosting a grand gala, celebrating the success of the past year and the future of the brand. As Darius stepped onto the stage, the packed ballroom fell silent, waiting for his speech. He scanned the room, guests from all backgrounds, employees from every level of the company. People who, under the old leadership, might have been ignored. Now, They were valued. Clearing his throat, he spoke. "A year ago, I walked into this hotel undercover. What I saw that night changed everything." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Many had heard the story of how he had exposed the discrimination happening under the surface. Darius continued, "I didn't just see poor service. I saw what happens when people are judged before they're even given a chance." He exhaled, shaking his head. "And I knew something had to change." He gestured toward the crowd. "Now, 1 year later, we've built something better. A hotel that welcomes everyone. A company that values its employees. A brand that stands for excellence, not just in luxury, but in dignity." The audience erupted into applause. James, now Senior Vice President of Operations, stood at the side, grinning proudly. Darius smiled. "This is just the beginning. Regal Crown Hotels will continue to grow, not just in size, but in impact. We're setting a new standard in hospitality, one that ensures every guest, every employee, and every person who walks through our doors is treated with the respect they deserve." A standing ovation filled the room. As Darius stepped away from the podium, shaking hands and receiving congratulations, he knew this wasn't just about business anymore. This was a legacy, and under his leadership, no one would ever feel invisible again.